One of my earliest memories of making art is my mother gave me a small set of children's encyclopedias, and there was a volume called Make and Do, and I just fell in love with that one. And it had so many art projects, building things out of cardboard or sculptures or feathers or bits of nature things that you'd find outside. And so I would just make all the things in there, and then it would spark more ideas, and I would just keep going and going, and I fell in love with it. And I eventually curated my own little gallery in the basement, and I was absolutely convinced that everyone in the neighborhood would love to come over and see everything I made. I was torn between choosing art school or science, and in the end I decided biology would be more practical, and so I went to college for that and got a master's in biology. And I've always loved collecting bits of nature and bringing them home. I have a cabinet of curiosities, and often I'll do watercolors of the things I collect or the things I've seen out in the world. Both my mother and my grandmother grew lots and lots of flowers, and my grandmother especially grew peonies. Her whole backyard was, it wasn't mowed, there was just this curvy, windy, mown grass path through all the peony bushes, but almost the whole yard was taken up with flowers, especially peonies. And so as a little girl, I'd sit back there and read books on a blanket or do my watercolors, but I was always surrounded by those flowers. And then where I lived with my parents, they were avid gardeners, and my mom had a huge garden just dedicated to flowers. So that's played a prominent part in my art. My ex-husband's job took us away from the ocean, and I was a marine biologist. So I dropped that and became a stay-at-home mom. And so I only had little bits of time and really nowhere to work except the kitchen table. So I chose watercolor as my main medium. And I just loved the spontaneity and seeing what it would do. And it just allowed me to leave everything set up so I could paint whenever I had a few moments. Then I had an opportunity to do a show where the art had to be big, and I thought my little watercolors just aren't going to show well on these big, big walls. So I decided, what the heck, I'll try oils. I'd never done it before. And I fell in love, and that became my passion, is oil painting, especially big peonies, but other flowers and other subjects as well, but mainly peonies. I love watercolor because it's so surprising. You never know what it's going to do. But it has a whole host of problems associated with it. And it took a long time to be able to adjust to everything and fix what was happening to get it where I liked it. And when I discovered oils, they just blend so easily and seamlessly, and you have unlimited working time. And I just fell in love because it seems so easy compared to watercolor. But with watercolor, it feels like there's a lot more color opportunity and just a certain vibrancy and liveliness that I like. So I love them both, and I switch back and forth all the time. I'm not sure I can describe that other than I just have a passion for it. I can't imagine not going into the studio every day When I'm not painting, I'm often thinking about painting, just moving that paint around, seeing what it's going to do, how it's going to surprise me. At first, I hated all the problems. It was very stressful. I didn't like it. But now that I know how to solve problems, I enjoy that challenge. And that's part of what brings me back too is, you're very happy when things go right, but when something goes wrong, it's kind of fun to eventually conquer it and get it to where you're happy with it again. Today happens to be New Year's Day, and so my goal for this new year, one of them is mastery. And you might think that's, well, mastery of technique, form, value, how you move the paint. But I think of it as mastering how I feel and my mind when I go into the studio. So I always want to enter with gratitude and joy. And it's just such a tremendous gift to be able to do this every day, something I love. And so I don't want to, it's so easy to go into the studio and think, ugh, why do you think you're an artist? Or look at that, that's terrible. Nobody's going to buy this. That's awful. What are you doing? You should be doing something else, obviously. And so who wants a boss like that? If that was your employer, you would leave because that's awful. So I want to change my mindset. So I'm always talking gently to myself and I'm not saying those things in my head, and I'm only saying nice things and accepting the work for what it is right now. You can be grateful for where your painting is, no matter what it looks like, because it's the foundation for what's coming next. It's always going to improve. And that was my biggest discovery, was painting a little bit every day. You're going to get better. And that brings me so much joy, just going in there and seeing where you started and where you end up. One of the joys of painting for me is I love the vibrancy of color. My paintings are often just saturated with color, and I think that hits other people as well. And when they see my work, they're just like, oh, this brings me so much joy. That's the one thing I hear over and over again. And I think that's what I aim for, is that connection with other people so that they can feel the joy I feel when I'm painting and experience that too. And so, and if they get one of my paintings and have it every day to look at it, it might bring back those feelings for them. So that's important to me as well. As I was painting at my kitchen table and things progressed, I would just find myself almost enraptured, just in such joy in the moment of seeing what's coming next. And I just knew that I didn't want to do anything else with my life. And so that's when I decided I would pursue art, hopefully full time one of these days, working towards that and just loving every opportunity I have. The common threads in my paintings seem to be tied to nature. I guess that's a result of my love of biology and nature. So most often I paint flowers, but I also love doing animals. I'm moving into doing some pet portraits. I'm hoping people will like them. I found I love to paint purple and orange dogs, so we'll see where that goes. I love being in Anchorage. There's such an opportunity to see the work of other artists with First Friday. And when I go out and see in person the work of someone who I followed on Instagram, I had the opportunity to see one of my favorite artists at Captain Cook. And I bought 3 of her pieces because I was so excited. She paints super vibrant watercolors like I do. Hers are all landscapes, so I like the connection, but the difference. It's very wonderful to me. For aspiring artists, I would say just get in there every day and you will see improvement. And I don't think it's so much a natural ability. I think it's just work. But if you love it, it's not work. And that's where I'm at, is I just love doing it, and you improve all the time with every piece you do. And the important thing is to love it as you go. To be grateful for where you're at and just know it's taking you somewhere else. So it's okay to love your own work. I would also say be really kind to yourself, because if you're criticizing yourself and listening to that critic in your head who says it's terrible, that leads to procrastination. You'll stay out of the studio. You'll avoid it because who wants to go in there with that mean boss? And you'll find all sorts of other things you have to do first. Oh, I really want to paint today, but I got to clean the house. I got to do the dishes. Maybe I should take another class. That's what I need. I'll have to take another class and then I can paint. And all that's just fear showing up as procrastination. So just get into your studio or wherever you're painting, if it's at the kitchen table, and just keep going. When I find a subject that speaks to me, I just know that's what I want to paint next. And oftentimes I'll paint multiple canvases at once because I have multiple things I'm excited about. But with oils, that gives you a chance to let something dry and then come back to it. So it works out well. About 5 or 6 years ago, I had this idea for a painting that I kind of think of in my head as my magnum opus. It's just, I'm really excited about the idea, but I didn't have the technical skills. I had no idea to where to even begin. It's going to be an oil painting. So I've thought about it a lot. I kind of collect source photos of things I'm thinking of, but I haven't touched it because I didn't have the technical skills. But now it's several years later, and now I think I'm ready. So I'm very excited. This year I'm going to start making studies of each of the little components of the painting and see if I can put it all together. And to me, that would be huge, to be able to create this vision I've had in my head for years and see it come to life. Generally, if I don't feel like getting into the studio, I'll go for a walk. That usually, or some sort of exercise, gets me moving and happy, and then I'm ready to get right into the studio, because when I'm not painting, I'm always thinking about, man, I want to be painting. I remember when I moved to Anchorage and first walked into Blaines Art, I was in awe because here was a little independent art store, but it had everything I needed. And a lot of places don't. And everyone was so friendly and made me feel welcome. And no matter where I went in the aisles, they were there to help and offer advice. And I'm just amazed at, I find new mediums and things that I can add to the work I'm already doing. And that just gets me more excited, because who doesn't love buying art supplies and then coming home and test driving them and seeing what they will do? It's just so much fun. Favorite color is so hard because I like colors for different reasons. Quinacridone magenta is my favorite for painting flowers, and that's what I'm using right now. But when it comes to my house or my wardrobe, it's fall colors all the way. I love yellow ochre. Such a weird one. And I was so excited to find a winter coat that's yellow ochre.
Oh, right. Where'd you find it?
All Seasons Clothing Company. There's a small one here in Eagle River, but the big one is in Wasilla. Awesome store if you go outside. Well, this recent discovery of mine, it's by Elkins. He's an art historian in Chicago. And when I read the sentence about the passion for oil painting, I was like, eureka, that's it. That's exactly how I feel. Like, I can go into the studio for decades, every day, and I'll never, ever get tired of it. It's a passion, and I don't know that non-artists would ever get it, but because oil paint is stinky, as he says, and pretty unpleasant. It's messy, but it's also just beautiful and glorious, and I love seeing what I can do with it and moving it around. The most annoying color. Probably white. It's so necessary, and it makes all the difference. It gives you all the highlights you need, but it also dulls the colors, and if you do it wrong, it just messes everything up and you have to redo things. Is white a color? And then, therefore, you also have to watch out for the opaque colors that have white in them. You'll get the same effect. Like this peach color has a lot of white in it. So you think you're going to get a glowing, pretty, sunny peach color, but because it has white, you might be in trouble. I've taken a class here and there, workshops with artists I love, and it's so inspiring to be able to talk to other people who feel the way you do and get the same excitement over the same things you do, and buying new art supplies. They know that feeling, and they'll introduce you to new art supplies, or just using the ones you have in new ways that you never thought of. When I first started drawing on canvases, I'd use pencil and it would show up. And then someone told me, use a watercolor pencil. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so obvious. So that's what this is. It's a gray watercolor pencil. And so as soon as the oil paint hits it, it just dissolves into the paint. And so you don't have that problem with, because I paint thin, so the pencil never shows through. So just little things like that can make all the difference. And yeah, just there's such excitement in seeing what other people are doing. I just have to be careful because I know us like, oh, I want to do that too, or a new medium. Let me at it. I want to try that. And but it's coming back to your thing, what you do best, and doing it every day, and that's how you're going to improve and get to where you can do all the things you want to do. Is just practice. And it's so fun when you make those discoveries on your own, like how to make a shadow, how not to be afraid of dark, ugly colors because they're really necessary to make everything pop. A lot of painters are afraid of, they just want to use the pretty colors and not the dark, ugly ones. But I kind of paint what I see, and so I have to add that in just to pop everything. Well, I think you can curate your life just the way a gallery person curates a show. What goes next to each other on the wall. And I just want to make there's that quote, something about making your whole life beautiful. And that's what I want to do. I want the art not just to be what I put on the canvas, but everything in my life. I want it to be pretty. And I think the art has helped me design my life too, to be the way I want it, and what things look great together. Although I haven't figured out fashion. I never know what to wear. My favorite independent stores are Blaines Art, Tidal Wave Books, Dos Manos Gallery, and they're all kind of in the same area, and it's so fun that you can just go from one to the other to the other. And there's such an attitude of supporting everyone. Nobody feels like they're competing. I show my work at Dos Manos, and they always encourage me to have pop-ups at other places. And I can go buy my art books at Tidal Wave, and then I can go into Blaines and find whatever I need that's sparking my interest at the moment. And I have a small business. Selling my art is a business, and so I like to support other small businesses that support me. And I couldn't make it without the inspiration and the supplies I find at Blaines. It isn't anywhere right now. I have watercolors at Dos Manos, but I'm working on my next collection of big oils, so they won't be out in the world for a little while. But you'll find them at Dos Manos. I have a website, alaskagirlcreates.com. My Instagram is at alaskagirlcreates. I haven't been using it for a while because posting just felt like it was detracting from making my art, so I've stepped back from it for a while. But once I have my new body of work, I'm going to start posting on the regular. You can reach me through there or the website. I also have a email. My pet portrait business is going to be called Polar City Pet Portraits. So you can reach me at polarcitypetportraits@gmail.com. For a pet portrait, I'm going to say 3 weeks. It will probably take me maybe a little less time, but that way nobody's disappointed if I have plenty of time in advance. They make great gifts for someone who loves their pet. They're just so fun to do. I see all these strange little colors that really make them come alive and make them a lot of fun to do. It starts out with these weird base colors, and then once I add the eyes, everything seems to come to life, and it's just so fun to see them emerge from the paper. I love the Impressionists, all the different colors and the way light plays. Of course, they're popular with everyone, but especially since flowers and bright colors appeal to me. But I also like the Fauves, am I saying that right? Which I guess means the wild ones, who took color to a new extreme, just unexpected colors where making a landscape come alive, and I like that. As you see, my pets are orange and purple. For some reason, I'm drawn to that color, but it works.
I think we got through all the good questions.
Yeah, it's hard to paint watercolor in
chat?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look at this.
Oh, yeah.
That's fun.
It's a barbecue sauce brush, but I'm like, I want to paint with that.
Nice.